Welcome back. We're going to continue with our Lunar New Year celebration. One of the great meals that we have on New Year's, or recipes that we have on New Year's, is dumplings, because dumplings are always full of good things. And by eating dumplings, we are hoping that the new year will be filled with good things. So we're going to look at something called soup dumplings. In Chinese, they're called xiao bao, and they're different than dumpling soup, where dumplings are cooked in soup like wontons. Soup dumplings are, the soup is in the dumpling. And so this is kind of like the same puzzle of, you know, how did you get the ship in the bottle? This will be, how do we get the soup in the dumplings? So let's start with that. And there are 3 ways that you can accomplish this. And they all involve making the soup a solid form at room temperature. So one way to do it, the old-fashioned way, the original way, is to boil up a lot of bones, and it can be beef bones or pork bones or fish bones or chicken bones, and you basically just boil them for a couple hours. And what that does is it boils out the collagen, and that's the gelling agent in bone. It's really healthy for you. And then what we did here is we boiled it, and then we strained it through a coffee filter, actually, so that all the big pieces are out. And then you just basically put it in the refrigerator overnight, and it solidifies. So that's one thing you can do to get that soup base. The other thing you can do, another option, is to use something called agar-agar. And agar-agar is an extract from seaweed. It's the same stuff that's used to solidify your medium in Petri dishes. So if you remember from high school when you had those science experiments and you used agar-agar, that's what you used. And so what you do here simply is you get your broth, you heat it up, and then you put some agar-agar in and you dissolve that. And then you basically just refrigerate that. And that's what we've done here. We took some of the beef broth and we dissolved agar-agar in it, and then we just refrigerated that. And so we have, you can kind of see it's kind of like meat jello, I guess is the way to put it. So that's another thing you can do. A third thing you can do, and this is you can use Knox gelatin. And this one here was done with lobster bouillon. And we basically just made our lobster bouillon, and we dissolved the Knox gelatin in it, you know, according to instructions. You need to make sure that you dissolve it in some room temperature water first before you put it into the simmering water. Otherwise, it'll clump up. So we've got our solid soup. All right. So what we'll do now is we'll make kind of a flavoring in our soup, and we'll do that by getting our cleaver, our all-purpose cleaver here, and we'll get some flavor in. And so here's our fresh garlic. We'll just smash that up. We'll do a couple of those. There. And some fresh ginger. There we go. And we'll smash that as well. Whew. There. And I'm going to use my manual food processor here. So we'll put that in. And we're going to put in some pork. There we go. So the proportion that you'll want to use for the for your solidified broth is going to be 3 to 1. So I've got about a tablespoon of pork here. So I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons. I'm going to mix this. So this is some beef. So we'll put that in. And I'm going to grab some of this lobster as well. And we'll put that in. There we go. Maybe just a little bit more for good measure. All right. So we've got some ginger, we've got our garlic, we've got a little bit of meat in there, and our soup. I'm going to put in just maybe a teaspoon of soy sauce for flavoring there. All right, and we'll just process this till it's mixed together. It won't take long. So there it is. So that's solid, it's mixed in. Let me just remove that. So what will happen when we heat these up, when we heat our dumplings up, that soup will turn liquid and the soup will then be inside the dumpling. So let's do that. So this is maybe the trickiest part of making these, is making the dumplings. So this is a shortcut. So you could make your dough and let it rest and roll it out and cut it and all that good stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some wonton wrappers. Actually, these are egg roll wrappers, I'm sorry. And I'm going to use some biscuit cutters, and I have a couple different sizes, so I'll make one of each. So what we'll do is we'll just take our biscuit cutter here and we'll cut one there, and why don't we make a smaller one here. This will make a very cute little dumpling. There. You can use this for noodles later. All right. So the bigger one is easier to handle, so I'll start with that one. So what we'll do is we'll place a little of this filling, our soup filling, right there in the middle. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wet around the edges of this, and I'm doing both sides. I'm wetting the other side as well, the underside. There. All right. So what I'm going to do is this thumb is going to be pushing down. I'm going to wet my thumb here. It's going to be pushing down on the filling, and I'm going to make a fold, and then I'm going to make another fold, and I'm going to bring it right on top. So these folds, as you can see, they're starting to make a pocket. And I'm just going to push that filling in. You can see why the smaller one is going to be a lot more challenging. We'll go right around, again, and then we'll just pinch that dumpling closed, just like that. So we've got a little dumpling, all enclosed. So before I struggle with the little one, I've made another one here earlier, and I've got another little one here that I made earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to steam these while I'm making these other ones. So I've got a steamer going here. If you don't have one of these bamboo steamers, what you can do is you could use a fry pan or a Dutch oven, and just put a little plate or something like that inside, a little water in it, and then a plate on top of that. What you don't want to have happen is you don't want the water to touch this. You only want the steam to touch it. So the steam is going here. I've got some wax paper that I'm putting these on. Oops, and here's a little guy. And we're going to steam these for about 5 minutes. And that will definitely give it enough time to liquefy the soup and cook the pork. So we'll just cover that. We'll cover that. There we go. And let me just start my timer so I'll get it'll interrupt me. It'll be good. So let's start this little guy. And I'm gonna just cheat a little bit. I'm going to get that perimeter wet on both sides just by putting it right in the water, but not the middle. So here we go. So I'm only going to put maybe a teaspoon in here. Again, 3 times as much of the soup as there is the meat. And here we go. I'm going to make a fold. So you want to make sure that you do wet both sides so that the dough will stick to itself. There we go. And there. And just pinch that tight. There. A little package of good luck for the new year. All right, so I'll show you one more time how to do this. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but you can use any types of bones because they all have collagen in them. So chicken bones, pork bones, beef bones, even fish bones to get that collagen. Or you can cheat because Knox blocks or Knox gelatin is basically pure collagen. There we go, and take a little one. There we go. And if you want to make your own dough, essentially you'll use your food processor. You'll have some your flour and a little bit of salt, and you want to use hot water, so hot tap water, and just process that together. Put in enough water so that when you process the dough, it looks like uncooked couscous. You don't want it to be so wet that it makes a ball. So here we go. We're going to make our pleats. Come right in on top of one another. And for some cooks, it's a matter of pride, the number of pleats. So if you want the challenge, I think it's something like 20 pleats. And I'm not going to be anywhere close to 20 pleats, but there we go. And some people leave it open on the top, but I find that if you leave it open, there's a chance that the broth will leak out, and you don't want to do that. There we go. So there's another one. And we'll do one more small one. The small ones are funny that you can eat the dumpling whole. You don't have to bite into it, so you won't lose any of the soup. There we go. And just put in a little bit there. All right, here we go. Tweet. 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 And I'm just using my thumb to push that, keep it in there in the center. Oof. It's a little. And there we go. Let's do that little pinch. All right. So these will be ready to put in. So let me just wash my hands a little bit here and we'll talk about eating these guys. So there's a couple things you can do. You can have a little bowl. Whoops. You can have a little bowl, you know, put in a little bit of soy sauce in the bowl. And then, let me just turn this down. And whoa, look at those guys. All right. All right. So let's grab this one of these big guys. Oof. There we go. Hot, hot. Right. And we'll just peel that dumpling right out. There we go. All right. So you can see that there's a lot of the juice there has come out. And then we can just pick that right up. Just slurp that when you eat it. Mmm. Xiao bao. See, there's the juice. So, for the smaller ones, here's what you can do. Get one of these Chinese spoons, put a little soy sauce in there. And then, grab this dumpling. Whoa, spill the juice. And put it right in. Put it right in. Ooh, this could be hot. All right. Whoa! Ah! 5-second rule. Joan cleaned the floor. It's okay. So, So, there you have it. Steamed soup dumplings, xiao bao, for the Lunar New Year. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.